Alright, welcome back, guys. We got another thing coming today, and it's because of my own mistakes. Alright, as you guys can tell by the title, we're relocating the battery to the trunk. And this is because of my professional fixes before failed. I'll show you why. You're going in the trunk. Hey, Bean. You're in your little burrow, just hanging out. Let's go over real quick what materials are needed for the job. I bought 20 feet of red welding cable from Home Depot, 10 feet of black. This is probably overkill, but not too sure how much I needed depending on how I routed it. Cable terminals, copper, 150 amp breaker, two isolated posts. I'll use the red one to supply power. New battery cable terminals, red and black, so in the trunk. A standard battery tie down, some nice heat shielding, some nice grommets to cover the ends of the wires, a nice crimping tool, and some shears to cut the wire. This is probably the bare minimum you need. Don't forget you will need some sort of battery tray. I'm making mine, and any additional hardware as required. Then up next is we need to route the power cable to sort of this area. So we need to connect to this, and we're gonna change this connector out. And this looks like it's not holding up so hot, so we're gonna fix that. But I think I found the best way to do it, and we're actually going to go through this port, run on top of the fender, around, and in through where the door jamb is, where you have the wiring harness for the door. I think that's the easiest way to get in, because I haven't been able to find a good spot to sort of go through. And that looks like that's what other people do too. That way, you're going to run it through the interior all the way to the trunk. Cool. Now, let's pull off this fender. It's a pain in the ass. Jesus. Okay, so what feels like forever to just get this fender off has finally gotten here. And I'm going to show you what no one else will, and give you some, I guess, helpful hints or tips so that we can actually like do this properly and not turn back. So, looking at the grommet here for the wiring harness, I pulled it out a little bit just so I could see, flash the light. Let's see if I can show you from the other side where we'll be able to pull the wire from. If you don't have ABS, it may be easier to go through the firewall in the front of the car, but since I do, this module is a pain. I'm not willing to mess with it. I'd rather just go through the door. So what I'm thinking of doing is just poking a hole so we can feed the cable through, so it stays within the grommet, and then we can seal it up with some silicone when we finally get it to its like final resting spot. But let me show you the inside. Alright, you don't have to go this far. You just have to pull the ECU off and the glove box so you can actually see what you're doing. Let's see if I can show you. Alright, you see the little white spot? That's where... So let's try it. Alright, so when you get to this point, what you want to do is you want to remove the cover piece that's here. There's just one plastic handheld nut that you can loosen that, pull the trim off. You pull the sill here, and then three nuts or bolts or whatever to pull back the ECU, and then two Phillips heads to release the glove box. What that'll allow is when you're up here you can actually see through, And you can actually get your hand up there to where the grommet is for the door, and you'll be able to pull the wire through. I just got it through, and what I did use to help was just a little bit of a cleaning solution to act as lubricant, sort of push this through and also get this to seal back up. So I'm going to feed the rest of the cable through, get it to a point where we can start routing it on the inside. So let's skip to that part. Alright, we have the power cable routed on top. It's through the inside, and you can sort of see it tuck it back in there a little bit. And we got it to the trunk right here. So I just need to determine where to mount this. I'm thinking of using this bolt so I don't have to do anything extra. Just mount it right up like that. And then the battery tray will mount into this spot specifically. So I think it's time to start making some connections. What do you think? Alright. We have our pedestal right here, which we will have the power supply to. I'm going to remove the terminal for the battery. Connect these two. Probably recrimp this one and use a new one of these on this guy. Tie these together, a little jumper cable from the leftover piece. Connect those two together, put a cap on it, hence this guy, and then we'll jump to the back. Ooh, cut that. Beautiful. That looks pretty good. Yeah, that's terrible. Right. Cool. Alright. Now we just need to connect these two to that. Now, I'm going to make this long so I can mess with it down the line if I need to. Beautiful. Alright. We got it wired to the pedestal, wired to the engine harness, and I'm just redoing a quick ground. Just gonna throw that in real quick, and then we can move on to the back. We're almost done. It's looking good. But this is actually really satisfying too. I'm finding this is really enjoyable. That's what I should be doing right now. So, regrounded the chassis, or I should say the motor, to this guy right here. This shouldn't move too much. I mean, I could tape it down, but it should be alright. let's get to the back. Alright, first thing we need to do is figure out where we're going to mount the battery. I'm going to put it right here. Now, I have some extra sheet metal from our first attempt, but this is big enough to hold the battery once I cut it down to size. And then we got 3 mounting points which will fit right over top. We just have to figure out what to do with this plug and these bolts so it doesn't wear out the bottom of the battery. So that's step 1. So that's step 1. I'm just going to cut this to size, bend it how I need to, and spray it wrinkle black. So let's just cut to that. 1, 2, 3. Alright, here is our battery tie-down tray. Now, the wrinkle black didn't look as nice as I had hoped, but honestly, you're never going to see it, so whatever. Let's throw it in the back. Alright, battery tray is in, and I have some extra corkboard lying around. So what this is going to do, just try and keep the battery elevated above the bolts so it doesn't rub through over time, and I just painted it black quickly so it'll just look nicer. Well, good enough. Beautiful. Alright, let's set the battery down, tie it down, and make our final connections. Alright, 1 mess later, and 1 minute of me talking to myself. Power cable's here. Positive terminal's ready to go. Ground / negative terminal is ready to go. We got our tie down ready, and this is the moment of truth. Let's see if we did it. Alright, check it out. Looks beautiful. So it's hooked up. Time to reset the breaker. Okay. Well, let's start. Alright, I see that the clock is on, so that's a good start. Hell yeah. Oh man. Now I just need to fix that, but that's okay. One more thing off the list and then we don't have to worry about. So that should put us in a good spot moving forward. Now I never have to worry about the battery again. I can always fix and add more grounds and replace some later down the road. And this allows me to also fix that sheet metal without having to tear the car apart. So another positive note. So I'm not going to show you the rest of putting it back together. I think you kind of get that. It's kind of boring. But if you found this helpful or useful or got any tips for me, let me know. We're just going to figure it out as we go, like we always do. So thank you so much for watching. Comment down below what you think could be done better, and let's see you on the next one. Thanks. Have a good night, guys.